Taoiseach, you are probably aware this morning of letters that were circulated to contractors from Coillte in relation that for Q1 of next year they may not have work. Those contractors have payments of approximately 150,000 per year and were guaranteed 5 years continual work if they bought new machinery. You are also probably aware, Taoiseach, that in the last few days the pallet manufacturers have said they are running out of timber. And one business in County Roscommon, Taoiseach, that had 30 applications in for forestry. To give you an example of what's going on, 823 days, 681 days, 713 days, and still no reply. 30 applications, an average of 368 days. And I was down in Sligo when 2040 was announced. It was announced that 440 million trees would be planted. To date, from 16 to 20, the government had said they would plant 37,410 hectares. We have just a little over half that done. In the line of roads, Taoiseach, going into forests, 50%. In the line of felling, from 19 to 20, we are down 80% in 1 year. In the line of planting, 19 to 20, we are down 50%. There is a forestry appeals office at the moment, received 238 appeals last year. To date, 136 of these is all that has been sorted. In 2020, they have got 394 appeals. To date, 2 appeals out of 394 that has been sorted. An appeals office has been set up, Minister, where a group of people decide, will it go for appeal or will it not? But those are the same people that's going to decide if they're looking at the appeal, they get 380 for an oral hearing. If they do a desktop, it's 240, and if they don't turn up, the people that's appealing, they get 240. So why would you throw out an appeal? I've seen 3 years ago an application put in to spread fertiliser in County Mayo, Taoiseach, and they still, in that department, have not given an answer. The system at the moment, the way you will understand it, is flawed. When you send in a forestry application, it's a Forest Service inspector that gets it. They have no ecological degree, so instead of screening out, you have to screen it in. And when you screen it in, Taoiseach, you have to go through appropriate assessment, EIA, and all the palaver that you have to do because of the Habitats Directive if those areas are within 15 kilometres of a designated area.
Thank you, Deputy.
And what I am asking you, Taoiseach, there is an emergency at the moment. There is 12,000 jobs at risk. There is contractors ready to go bust that have 150,000 payments per year. Are you willing, and I see Deputy Cahill here, to give priority to the Agricultural Committee for an emergency meeting to be set up? And on top of that, are you willing to put a group together led by somebody, an independent chairperson that knows the environment or deals in environmental planning? Are you willing to let the parties from each side, because this, you will talk about new legislation coming in. Being honest with you, it will solve nothing in the next 3 to 4 months. Can you do that to help the situation, because it is dire at the moment?
You're way over time, Deputy Fitzmaurice, and I said at the outset I asked for cooperation.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Deputy, for raising the important issue of forestry, and I want you to know that the government is committed to the existing, or the last government's plan to dramatically increase the amount of forestry in our country, which is both beneficial in terms of climate action and also for rural and regional development. I've taken note of the suggestions that you've made, and I will let Minister Hackett know about them, and I'm sure she'll respond to you directly. As we all know, there is a backlog in licence applications awaiting assessment for forestry. This arose following a surge in appeals connected to Article 6.3 of the Habitats Directive of '92. This led to the establishment of the Natura 2000 network of designated sites. Article 6.3 requires that where a plan or project is likely to have a significant effect on a Natura site, either individually or in combination with other plans or projects, it must undergo an appropriate assessment. As a result of these appeals, and the subsequent application of the national report, a complex restructuring of the appropriate assessment procedure has been introduced by the Department. These procedures are now in place, and a project plan is being established to deal with the backlog. Resources to service this new approach have been and are being put in place as follows. New forestry inspectors and additional admin staff have been assigned to licensing. More forestry inspectors will be recruited this year. 2 new ecologists have joined the Department's ecology team, with 4 more to be appointed shortly. The Department has also engaged external ecological experience to help with the backlog of files, and 4 local ecologists have been contracted to provide extra support. And a further ecology contract with 5 new ecologists has also been signed. Additional admin staff have been assigned to the Appeals Office to assist with the increased workload from the Appeals Committee. 3 planning officers have been contracted to work with the Forestry Appeals Committee, and a specialist mapping expert has been assigned to forestry issues. The introduction of this new process has led to delays in issuing licences and has had a major impact on the sector, which we acknowledge. Notwithstanding the delays in the latter months of 2019, it is important to put on the record of the House that 2019 was in fact a record year for the issue of felling licences. 4,100 felling licences were issued in 2019, which was a 16% increase on the previous year. This year, 783 licences have issued. And in terms of licences processed for afforestation, it's issued 276 for over 2,000 hectares and 180 forest roadworks for 65.2 kilometres of forest roads up to the 19th of June this year so far. Furthermore, from January 2018 to the end of the 20th of May, there were 3,650 hectares of fully licensed afforestation that has not been progressed to planting stage.
Taoiseach, whoever has given you information is massaging the figures, because I have from the department, and if you went through the way it's done, it is actually, you get a licence and it's put for 4 years. So if I done 20 acres in 18, I have it for 4 years, so it's 80 acres it's down as. But anyhow, we'll get away from that point. The reality of it is, at the moment, there's timber being imported from Germany. There's a beetle in Germany, and we have to be careful that we don't go down the road of the ash dieback again. The companies are looking to other places. And Taoiseach, 4 years ago this has started. We all know about the Habitats Directive. But the problem is, within a department, if you keep sending the letter to the same person that hasn't the qualification to decide on it, then you're going to get the same answer. And who's going to call stop? Who's going to decide that we need, instead of sending it to the forestry officer, that we send it to a person that can either screen it out or screen it in? I know more about the 6.3, 6.2, 6.4, the Habitats Directive than most because of the bogs. And if you do not screen it out, which most cases can be screened out, then you will have a logjam of problems.
Thank you.
Are you going to stand over a department that for 4 years has sat on their backsides looking at this and is now putting 12,000 jobs in jeopardy?
Thanks, Deputy. We certainly do not want to be in a situation whereby we're importing timber from elsewhere when we could be providing it for ourselves. As I understand it from the Department, they need 2 things. They need new legislation and they need additional staff to deal with the appeals and applications. The legislation is being developed. We'd expect to have it done in this session, and that's being led by Minister Hackett, I believe. In terms of the additional staff resources which the Department needs, as I mentioned earlier, they have 14 new ecologists who've joined either as permanent staff or contract staff, 4 extra forestry inspectors on a temporary basis, 9 permanent forestry inspectors, and a new project manager. So based on what I'm informed here, I hope we'll see an improvement and a change in the coming weeks.
Thank you very much. That's the end.